The next part here is obviously a bit of expectations in sort of the first, 6 to 12 months of playing basketball. Expectations is a funny one here because I think this goes for any sport, right? If your kid takes up tennis, what's your expectations of his tennis in 12 months? Is he serving 100 kilometers an hour yet or what? And I think basketball is a funny one because I think the first one that jumps to mind as a coach for many years, and when I coached kids at under sort of 8s and under 10s and they first started playing basketball, is the expectation is that you score. Yeah, I don't know if you would agree with that. Is that you score? If you don't score, you're no good. Yeah, if you don't score, you're not doing the right thing. Okay, and I guess for my son Iverson, obviously, who you coached him for a season or two. Okay, he actually didn't score for 2 seasons. Okay, that's a little fun fact there, Nick. You like your fun facts? Okay, he didn't actually score for his first 2 seasons, and as a parent, I'll be perfectly honest. I was sort of like, when's he gonna score? Yeah, as a basketball fan, it's like, is this, but you know what? He didn't shoot very much either. Maybe that was a bit of confidence and that sort of stuff. Some kids get there and they just throw the ball at the ring 10 times a game, even though they can't hit the ring, right? And they just do that. Okay. And obviously, he sort of had a game. He went out there and just, maybe took 1 or 2 shots a game at most, and then, didn't really want to try and shoot some more. Okay. And I think for me as a parent, I really focused on sort of talking to him after games about all the other good things that he did in the game. So clearly our conversations for the first two seasons were not like, oh, wow, you got that great bucket, or wow, you scored 10 points, because he didn't even score. Okay. So we still talked about a lot of the other things, obviously, that, happened in the game, other good things that he did, whether that was defensive, whether that was a rebound, dribbling, passing. And I think that's a real important expectation that I think that parents with our players that are children, it's really important to sort of focus on all these other things. Okay, it's not all about scoring. Okay, and I think that sort of positive, reinforcement, the positive feedback there about all these other areas of the game, especially when they're starting off. There's so many things you can pick on, pick to sort of really talk about. Even the fact that they can dribble the ball up and down the floor as quick as they can. Okay, that's achievement in itself. Okay, because how many kids that can't even dribble the ball, right? That's the point. So I think when you set your expectations that there's little wins in every game, and it's not all about scoring, I think that's a real positive way to sort of sort of reflect and talk about a game once it's finished.
Yeah, look, the scoring one was the big one that I think would have come up inevitably. It was always the topic of conversation. So similar to me, 2 points in my first season of 24 games, and then maybe started to average 2 or 4. And this is the edge of 13, 14, where by this point there is that peer pressure to, hey, stop being so bad. But yeah, like you're talking about,
who said that?
Just friendly people.
Yeah.
But you're totally right. Like defense is something that gets praised, but we kind of look, defense is not the interesting part of basketball. We all know that, but it's actually quite important. And some people make a living off that, and it also probably helps with as rep tryouts. Your level of energy and effort on defense can sometimes.
I'm going to interrupt you right now. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to actually say defense is a critical part of the game. I think if you think about any professional player, if you don't have an exceptional defensive ability, you won't succeed. Okay, I think that's the reality, and I think it's probably not even talked about enough in junior basketball. Okay, I don't think when I was playing, when I was like 12, 13, a coach never said to me, you got to focus on defense. If you want to be a professional basketball player, you got to spend much more effort and energy on defense. Okay, because that's so critical. Because again, going back to that scoring component, it's all about getting those buckets, right? And how many people can get buckets? Okay, how many great, good basketball players out there that are professional, have been professional, that can get buckets, but haven't had a career because they can't play defense.
Yeah, and I think even things such as just good team focus as well is another skill that maybe isn't focused on enough. Obviously, like, teams chop and change a lot. I played on so many different teams, both competitively and just casually, that it does become a very isolated sport of, hey, I've joined your team, this is what I bring to the table. And sometimes when you've got 5 people operating on the same pretense, it just doesn't work. And so, sometimes finding your niche, sometimes understanding what is the role that I can fulfill today versus tomorrow. Because, even those kids that don't score very often, there's always that outlier game eventually where it's like, oh, today's their day. They've hit 5 layups. They've got 10 points. And, if you're on a good team, or if the team's kind of facilitating those opportunities, the success is better, and, the longevity is there. I guess the issue is that you watch the NBA, and it's more now than ever. It's always been transient. It really has always been transient. People think, oh, it's worse now than it always, ever was. But, your role players down, they were always flipping teams. It was your star players that stayed put. But now that the star players are moving regularly too, basketball is, hey, I'm an individual. This is what I bring to the team. But there's an underrated thing of the glue guys, the people who fit in anywhere. And, it's not talked about enough either as well. We highlight players like, Michael Jordan, who was exceptional. And then we talk about players like James Harden and Russell Westbrook, who are exceptional as well, but they get stuck in a box of, they don't work well as a team. And then, as a flip side, we have LeBron James, who works very well in a team, but then is heavily scrutinized. So it's trying to find the balance of, today, this is my role, maybe I am the scorer, maybe I'm not the scorer. But, how can you always be contributing towards some form of success, at least, quarter to quarter, half to half sort of thing?
Oh, absolutely. And look, scoring is a personal one. And I think the 2 points I think I really want to share here as an expectation in the first few seasons is, firstly, scoring personally and winning as a team. Okay. I think that's a huge emphasis as well on winning. Look, we all love to win, right? Sports is all about winning at the elite level, but that's the key words there, at an elite level. At the under 8s level, okay, winning is fun, okay, but I think, again, at the end of the day, the scoreboard is not the most important part of the conversation. I think as a coach, obviously, I get to spend 6 months, sometimes 12 months with a set of players and things like that. The nicest thing, one of the nicest things of coaching is being able to see the progress. Okay, because and I've said this probably to you before, when you get to a point when they're ready to win, winning organically happens. Okay, that's the point. Okay, and everyone starts from a different spot. Some kids, get a basketball ball in their hand at 2 years old. Okay, and they're sort of real comfortable with basketballs and just ball sports and things like that. Other kids don't. Okay, and what we're looking for here as a coach, and ultimately what parents and players should be looking for, is like, where are they now when they started, and where do they get to over the course of a season? Okay, over the first 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, half a year. Okay, and when you look back at the progress that they've made, even if they haven't won a single game that season, okay, but you can see that growth and that progress, that those wins will come, okay, when they're ready. And I think, again, that's a big part, that parents shouldn't feel so disheartened if my kid goes out there, they don't score too much, they're not winning that many games. Doesn't mean they suck at basketball. It just means they're going to take a little bit more time.
Yeah, look, this would be my own profession coming into this a little bit as a teacher, but learning is not a linear path. I think a lot of people expect it to be that. It's supposed to be, today I'm this good, tomorrow I'll be this good, and then the next day I'll be that good. It comes in waves. Some days they look exceptional, other days it never clicks. It's one of the biggest things I often tell parents who are concerned about their child's progress is habits, right? Do they have good learning habits? Do they have good habits in general? Because progress can be fluked. We really overvalue results and progress sometimes, because, if I asked a random kid, hey, go shoot 10 free throws, and they hit 8 out of 10. And then after that one moment in time, I said, you're phenomenal. You're going to be one of the best players of all time. But that kid wants to be on their iPad 24/7 and actually didn't really want to do that, but only did it because I was buying the McDonald's or something random. You know what I mean? Like, that moment in time, just fixating on the results, I'm not understanding the full picture. I'm not understanding the desire to get better, their focus, their resilience, their mental fortitude. And you can luck into things. There are lucky shots, even in the professional level. Yes, they're professionals, they're athletes, they're elite, and they train a lot to reduce the margin of needing luck. But there is still luck involved in that. And I think for juniors, your child is developing skills, and sometimes it's like a light bulb, it just comes on. right? So one day, all of a sudden, they're just using that left hand. They practiced for 3 seasons trying to learn how to dribble their left hand, but every game they go straight back to the right and they never go left. And then one day they're like, I'm going left. And it just clicks. And, as you said, the magic is you just watch that unfold over time. And we all want our next, I think, look, I'm not sure what it is. We all want to know or be or have the next prodigy in our lives. And statistically speaking, it's not going to happen. Sorry. But also, if it does happen, you won't even know what's actually happened until way later on, because your own little sphere, circle, whatever you want to call it, is not representative of everything. We know LeBron James is one of the best players of all time because he's been on the biggest stage at the highest level for a long period of time. But there was a period of time where he was just another kid playing basketball, and it doesn't become apparent until years later. And there's so many kids that are just kids playing basketball. The hype intensifies. Oh, are they going to be good? And it never actually pans out. The amount of steps that it takes to get to that prodigy level is ridiculous. And so to have that expectation from the very starting point is not healthy. It's not helpful, and it's not good for you or the child, because it's creating this weird pressure around
Absolutely.
what is supposed to be enjoyable, domestic sport that potentially just creates friendships for life, slash just creates healthy habits for exercise, and maybe can lead into employment or even just leisure opportunities for the remainder of their life. That really is the core business that you can guarantee if you don't come in with that prodigy expectation.